I'm glad Dick is in here so that people actually come.
Ha ha. What's the matter, Willie? You don't have your fan club here?
Yeah, it's too early for my fan club to be up.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hey, welcome everybody. You can hear Willie and Dick are already getting warmed up, ready to go. So I'm Jason Bonney. I'm with the Simplot Games Board of Directors. Appreciate everybody being here for our question and answer session with Willie Banks and Dick Fosbury, two of the all-time great jumpers in their sport. We're also joined by Dan White, who's another board member here of the games. We'll help transfer those questions over to Dick and to Willie. We do have some questions from previous sessions. We've also got some other questions that we've got on our mind. You're always welcome during this session. Just use that chat box down at the bottom of your screen. If you've got a question you want to throw out there, then go ahead and do that. And we'll look forward to a good discussion with our two Olympians here. So with that, I'll turn the time over. Dan, if you're there, we'll go ahead and start tossing the questions towards our Olympians.
Yeah, thanks, Jason. Yeah, we'll jump into the questions here. So like he said, go ahead. If anything comes to your head, don't think we're cutting off questions. So go ahead and throw them in the chat. We'll get them brought up. So first one that was brought up in the last session that Willie had a great answer for. And Dick, I wanted to throw that one at you. Any tips at motivating athletes to do warm-ups? Some folks are finding that they don't find that important nowadays.
Warm-ups. How can you do anything without a warm-up, especially in athletics and sports? And there isn't any athlete at the elite level who doesn't get prepared before you take the field, take the court, get in the pool. You've gotta warm up your body, and it's also a mental thing. And so it's part of a practice that you just need to develop so that you have a routine that you go through. Everybody does things differently with regard to the mental aspect of sport. And Willie and I talk about this a lot. And I've talked to Dwight Stones and, a lot of different high jumpers, men or women. And so it really, it depends on the type of personality that you have. I was not really outgoing, much more quiet. And so I would spend time by myself before the meet. And I would kind of go through a routine of what I was going to do, what height I would warm up at, and how many jumps I would take. And I would have a strategy during the competition, because in the high jump, when you tie at a height, there are count back methods to determine where you finished. And so there are different strategies for every field event and also the running events. And so being mentally prepared, and then obviously as part of your routine to do a physical warm-up. You cannot go out and go cold, even if you're playing pickup basketball. If you're going skiing, if you're going mountain biking, road biking, skateboarding, it just doesn't matter. You got to warm up and get your body physiologically prepared to perform, because that's what playing the games is about, is giving it your best performance.
Hey, so I guess, Dick, that's a great point. And Willie, anything you want to add on that? Especially like Dick kind of went off on the mental preparation for event. What did you do before events, Willie?
Thanks, Dan. I don't know if this question comes from anybody in particular, but um, I'll try not to make this too long. But I really, really do believe that the mental strength of an athlete is critical to the success of that athlete, as especially as they become professional. And I was extremely lucky, blessed to have certain experiences that led me to that conclusion. And the first one was during a competition that I was about to perform the night before this competition, which was the UCLA USC dual meet back in 1975. And I was a freshman at the university at UCLA, and this was a very important meet to our coaches, both Vern Wolf and Coach Bush at UCLA. And it was interesting because the night before, I laid in bed and I was just thinking, I didn't know what it was, but I was just thinking, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous about this meet tomorrow. I've got to jump against the gold medalist in the long jump and the NC2A champion in the triple jump. And oh my gosh, how am I going to do? And for some reason, my brain just took me away and I kind of woke up out of a trance of some sort and I was sweating. It was as if I had been through the whole thing so clearly in my mind. And when I finished, I went, took a shower, got into bed, fell asleep. The next day I opened up the curtains because my dorm room was right above the track. And I said, I'm gonna win. And I went down and I won both the long and the triple jump in that event. And my triple jump won the event. And from that day on, I was sold that because I was 155 pounds and I was 6'3". I couldn't beat these guys, but mentally I knew I was going to win. And so it took me to that next level. And then I met other psychologists who talked about the mental power. And Dick talked about warming up. Well, Dick went through a certain routine that you can see online and YouTube. I did the same thing. And it's all about letting your subconscious mind take over for your conscious mind.
So let me follow up with this. One of the things, what Willie's talking about, and one of the things that I've learned that I think really could help you coaches is when you're working with field events that are technical in nature, and they all are. One of the things that happens is that the athletes tend, when you tell them it's their turn, they tend to just go. And one of the things that I do at camp is that I remind them that in the field events in high school, you get what? 1.5 minutes from the time that you're called to your jump or throw needs to be completed. And they don't need to use all 1.5 minutes, but they need to just take some time, practice thinking about what they're going to do, because the brain drives the motor. The brain controls the muscles and the bones. And so it's a practice thing, and it's something that you coaches can help the athletes to learn, is to relax, settle down, take a few seconds, focus on what you're going to do, and then go. And that's a practice of a routine that they can start to learn to engage their mind in accomplishing what their body needs to do. Thank you.
Yeah, Dick, there's a question in there for you on the high jump. Are you going to answer it now or later?
Yeah, I can answer it. Thanks. Thanks, Catherine. And so this is not unusual for younger jumpers they just don't rotate to the bar, and they jump either parallel to the bar, which is what I did the first year when I was developing the technique. And so in order to get them to rotate, I like to do a drill I call the reverse layup. And so on the basketball court, when you are doing a layup and you come in and you drive the baseline and you go under the hoop to shoot the ball either off the backboard or just drop the ball in the hoop, what you're doing is you're making just a 90-degree turn. And so I like to go either out on the field, if you've got the goalpost out there, any target that's up about 8 to 10 feet, where the jumper, and I'll do this with a short approach, maybe 4-step approach, just to get their steps going in, and they turn 90 degrees to face where I'll be out perpendicular from where the bar is. They use their arm drive to go up and lift the ball up. And with that turn and that rotation, they turn their back to the bar and then just land on their feet. Do it a couple of times. Make sure they're going for height, but at first, just to do it easy so that they understand the movement, and then you add the bar with a short approach. And after they practice it a couple times, or use a bungee, keep it real low so that they safely land in the pit. And then you can add a full approach later. But that's a nice drill just to get a nice lift, arm drive, knee drive going up with the rotation, get your back to the bar, and then land in the pit. So that's a simple drill that's kind of fun and for anyone to practice. Thank you.
So Dick, I wanted to bring up a question that came up in session 2A with us, with Willie, dealing with athlete frustration. If you find an athlete's becoming overly frustrated, what are your tips or tricks for dealing with that?
Well, usually when you're frustrated, it's a mental challenge that you're not doing what you expect you can do. You're not meeting your own expectations, or obviously, typically those of your coach and or parents. And so what you need to do is just dial it back with the frustration and break down the movement into small parts. I've seen elite champions working on a technical event where they'll break it down into little pieces that you come back and rebuild on. And so, the first thing is just running on a curve in the high jump. And so it's as simple as working on getting your run up in the right posture, in the right path to get you to the bar. With other field events, you're going to be in the runway or in the ring. It just depends on what event, but usually back off. Don't completely quit. It's the old standard, get back on the horse that may have bucked you off, and you feel bloodied and bruised and mentally it's more than you think you can do. But as a general rule, I think you can make a shift with the stress level and with the attitude by just going back and saying, okay, let's try this and work back to build up to what you were doing before. And of course, always understand and teach the athlete that, this is not simple for anyone, and it takes practice. And so we have time. We're gonna do our training session today, and then we'll be back tomorrow. And always working to prepare for the meet and what you've got going ahead. But sometimes it's best just to ease off and redirect that energy and motivation, and change the picture where it's not continually failing, to small steps of success that you build on.
Okay, great. Thanks, Dick. Willie, anything you'd like to add to that one?
So I talked a little bit about this before. So I think what Dick was saying is very similar to what I was saying before, in that you need to get away from the actual doing of the event. Now, Dick talked about doing parts of the event, parts of the event, and which is good. And I would say something similar. But if the people in my session, you remember, I had a group of different drills and different goals that had nothing to do with the triple or long jump. For example, being able to clean 48 kilos, and being able to sprint a certain 30 meters at a certain time. And then if you can show your athlete that these things, if you do these things, you'll reach this goal, then the athlete will focus on that and not focus on the jump. And that's where it gets difficult, because usually what happens is the athlete just gets frustrated because they don't it's doing the same thing over and over again is the definition of insanity, right? Not getting any improvement. So you want to take them away from that, take them somewhere else, have them focus on that, and then come back, and the brain will readjust. And when they get back to the triple or the long jump or the high jump, they will do it much better.
Hey, great point. Dick, did you see the question that came in?
Yeah, it's a long,
Pretty long.
it's a long question. So, and I've got the participants box open. So,
sorry about that, Dick. Yeah, a little bit on the lengthy side, and I didn't want to interrupt
no,
to take away
it's
from
okay.
any of the other information. But
So-
basically, Grant was getting ready for his senior season last year. Joined a club, participated in an event that was actually at a Division II college that they let the kids jump. Obviously, nothing was recorded for them, but had some success there. And then obviously COVID hit in March and everything ended. And so he decided to go to a junior college this year just because everything was online instead of going away to school. He had intended to go to Arizona State, but he decided to save the $30,000 and spend $3,000 instead to go to a junior college. So he's got a good app for saving money. But in the same breath, he would love to, jump in college somewhere. But trying to find a facility open is very hard. He's actually living in Phoenix right now with his two brothers. One just graduated from school and has a job down there, and the other one goes to Arizona State. So they share an apartment down there. And we've scoured the entire metropolitan area. There's really nothing there that's open, other than you've got the high schools that have their events. He can't go there and train. The junior colleges won't let him go on the facilities just because he doesn't go to school there. But we're just trying to find some places where he can train and/or some kind of a showcase or a meet that he can get involved in to at least get some jumps in.
So, yeah, good question, Andy. And so the coaches at Arizona State, do they can't help either?
Yeah, we've actually talked to a couple of them, and they're interested in Grant. They would like to see him jump like 6'8", 6'9" to be invited to be on the team.
Sure.
Because he doesn't go to Arizona State, he's not allowed to go onto the facilities. I think it must be an insurance or liability type of issue. Because he's taken his junior college classes from Chicago because they're all online, but he's living down in Phoenix. So it's just, the difficulty finding a place to train. He's actually signed up to go to a training facility that actually trains NFL combine athletes. So he's
Right.
around a lot of NFL players. He figured, hey, he says, I've got to work with what I've got. This place was open. He's lifting a lot of weights, doing a lot of jumping, a lot of agility, that type of thing. But it's not jumping specific, right? There's nowhere where we can find a mat or a high jump bar to, get him to, work on his craft. So that's our challenge.
Yeah, I understand. And he's doing the right things. He's obviously motivated. And I think I suspect there are NC2A rules that are really tight, and especially in the Pac-12. And, there's
Right.
people going to be watching. But you're out of my state, and
Right.
do you know what resources might be available for a college age jumper to find a facility, whether it's Southern California or in Arizona? I don't know of any real simple solutions. No.
Yeah, and maybe it's a question if you guys think of something, maybe you could shoot us an email and let us know. I know it's kind of hard putting you on the spot here on a Zoom call, but he definitely has some interest from the Arizona State people. They had asked
Right.
for all his credentials, his transcripts. He's in the NCAA eligibility center.
Yeah.
Got all that registered from that perspective, but they can't let him on the track. They want to see him jump 6'8", 6'9". We've shown him the tape from the event that he jumped 6'7" at. But obviously that was a year ago. That type of thing. So I know he's planning on joining the Simplot games again in July. It was great to hear that you guys are going to run that camp again. But once we get in July, then it starts to get kind of tricky with getting involved with another school. It's kind of getting late in the season to get that commitment. So in any event, that's kind of where we're at. But yeah, if someone wants to shoot us an email, if they think of something, that would be awesome. We appreciate it. Thank you.
You bet. Good question. He's on the right track, though.
Maybe he'll take up football. We'll see what happens.
No,
He
I
likes hanging with-
can't vouch for that. I'm sorry. I got beat
He's
up too
enjoyed
bad
hanging
in
with
football.
He's enjoyed hanging with the NFL guys, which has been great. But
Oh,
he is getting
that's
bigger.
definitely
He is
good.
getting bigger and stronger. So that's
Sure.
good. But
Right.
look forward to see you guys in July.
Okay, Willie, I'll throw one at your way, and then Dick, if you want to jump on this too when he's wrapped up. I wanted to talk a little bit about nutrition. So what tips or tricks could you offer that way? What's your favorite meal to cheat with?
So now is different than when I was training, of course. And when I was younger, it was, McDonald's. No, but in 1979, I met a doctor who wanted to help some of the UCLA athletes perform better. And he said, he got us together, and this included some of the best athletes in the world, and explained to us how nutrition could help us be better athletes. And, I was interested. I listened, and then he took tests of our hair when I had hair to determine what deficiencies I had, especially in the metals and whatnot. After that, we went on a fast. And then after that, we came back slowly through eating just vegetables to adding different things. So anyway, my point, I guess, is nutrition is critical. I had more success after that than I had leading to that, except for 1 year. And the real important aspect of it was that I could train more and more often, and I could train with higher energy because I was eating the proper foods prior to, during, and after my training sessions. So, my favorite meal, well, yeah, whatever it is, it's Japanese food probably, but I don't have a specific thing. But Japanese food is low in calories, and it's tasty, and it has a lot of protein, but most of that protein source comes from tofu. So I'm really good with that. Now, that's now. When I was an athlete, I was on a strict diet. I only ate fish and chicken, a lot of vegetables, and I was not allowed to eat anything that was that was not. I wasn't allowed to eat things that had a lot of sugar in it or refined flour. I hope that
Good.
helps.
Yeah, that's great, Willie. Dick, you want to dovetail into that with any thoughts?
Yeah, happy to. I mean, back in those days, we were never taught anything about nutrition, and I learned most of what I got on my own. I didn't. We had meals before a meet, but I was. It was really. We were all independent in the university, and so I learned everything later to eat, how to have proper nutrition, and it's one of the things that we have a session on at Simplot Games Track Camp, and everybody is much better informed today on proper nutrition. There's resources, whether it's on social media or any number of outlets, but it's much better today. And back then, I would say my cheat meal would be a 1 gallon of an A&W root beer float.
Very nice. Hey, we just had a few questions roll in. We'll try to get. I know we're getting down to the wire. First one, in high school with limited season length, what are 1 to 2 areas of focus for first-year long jumpers?
The first would be the run, and the second would be the takeoff. Learning how to get your hips close to the board and pushing down on the board. So those two things, they call it the penultimate stride, but basically it's just slightly lowering your hips so that when you hit the board, you're pushing up and not just running through the board.
Okay, great. Had another question. Does using a box for takeoff drills mess with the mechanics of actual takeoff, such as stepping up versus stepping through?
Yeah, Tyson, good question. And the purpose of using a box on a takeoff is to give the athlete more float time, more time in the air with the same amount of energy, and allows them to work on their mechanics in the air going over the bar, arching and unarching. And so I don't think that it messes with the mechanics of the takeoff, but it's for a different purpose. And then Jordan's got a question on, and I hear this a lot with regard to high jumpers that are trying to work on getting their calves and their heels over the bar once their hips have gone over and they've completed their arch. And so a lot of coaches will use the cue of putting your chin up or toward your chest to try to raise the hips and then to get your calves and heels over. And I would say it's not a yay or nay. It's kind of in between. Because some of the athletes, some of the jumpers are already so experienced and skilled with an extreme arch, and their head is completely back. And usually they'll keep it there until they can sense where they are in the air and they're starting to fall back to earth and back into the pit, where they start to fold up or unarch. And so you can change the other parts, other positions of your body with motions of the head, but it's usually done smoothly and in sync with the rest of your motion during your arch and unarch. And so you can have the jumper practice on that, but I wouldn't spend too much time focusing on that as much as feel where they are in the air and their hips elevated. And then once their hips are past the bar, they can unarch and raise their chest up so that they've got a flat back to land on. But when they raise their back, their calves and heels will clear the bar. So hopefully that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, I think we're just about out of time for questions. I think we've got everything answered. So really like to thank Dick, Willie, for all the good discussion and all the questions that we've gotten even through this session and in previous sessions. So really appreciate that. Hopefully everybody's got a lot of good value out of this. And Jason, I'll turn it back to you.
All right, thanks, Dan. And again, thank you to Willie Banks and Dick Fosbury. Appreciate all the insights and the previous breakout sessions. So we'll just go ahead and pause here. We'll be pulled back into the main room for the closing session. I invite y'all to stick around. We'll get some more good words from Willie and from Dick. Thanks, everybody.
Hey, Lisa.
Hey.